My name is Evelyn Vance, and I no longer have a father. The sentence didn't come from him. It came from his mouth, a pronouncement dropped into the sudden silence of our family's dining room. Evelyn, I think it's time for you to go. The words hung in the air, sharper than the crystal stem I was gripping. The massive oak table, a testament to generations of Vance wealth, felt like a canyon separating me from them. My brother, Colin, studied the tablecloth. My sister, Diana, smoothed her already perfect napkin. My father, Arthur Vance, stood at the head, his half-finished toast suspended, looking at me not with anger, but with the cool, final assessment of a judge passing sentence. The gilded invitation, the mandatory family gathering, my seat by the deaf great-aunt who'd asked if my husband, Leo, was my security detail. It was all a meticulously set stage for this public excising. I was 35, a senior editor who'd built a career giving voice to forgotten stories. But in this room, under the cold gleam of the heirloom chandelier, I was once again the flawed prototype. The daughter who chose poetry over profit, empathy over empire. I stood, my linen napkin pooled on the Persian rug. Shame, my oldest companion, began its familiar climb up my throat. But then, a new sound. The scrape of Leo's chair. He rose, not with my stunned hesitation, but with a stillness that commanded the room. He wasn't looking at me. He was staring down my father with the calm intensity he reserved for boardroom adversaries. I have something to say, Leo stated, his voice quiet but cleaving the silence. This isn't the moment, Leo, my father countered, his tone dismissive. It's the only moment that matters, Leo replied, raising his glass. He turned his gaze to the assembled faces, my siblings, my aunts, the silent observers. You're all here to celebrate what Arthur values: prestige, power, legacy. But let me tell you what I'm toasting. He looked at me, and his eyes held an anchor. Evelyn, who financed her own degree after being cut off for majoring in the unprofitable humanities. Who built a literary journal from her kitchen table into an award-winning platform that launches careers. Who measures her worth in the authors she elevates, not the assets she controls. He turned back to my father. You see a daughter who didn't follow your script. I see a woman of profound integrity. And tonight, you didn't just ask her to leave. You demonstrated you have no idea who she is. A dam broke inside me, not of tears, but of a clear, cold clarity. This wound was decades old. My crime was being born a dreamer in a family of architects. Arthur Vance, a titan of private equity, dealt in leverage and liquidation. Love in our home was a transaction earned by achievements that burnished the family brand. Colin became a hedge fund manager, Diana a cardiologist. Their triumphs were toasted with vintage champagne. My National Book Award nomination was met with, "Lovely, dear. Does it come with a bonus?" I met Leo in a library during a blackout. He was an architect who built community centers, not skyscrapers. His world was one of potluck dinners and unwavering support. When we married in a sun-drenched park, my family's chairs remained conspicuously empty. His parents hugged me and said, "Our family just got bigger." I finally understood. Love shouldn't feel like an audition. So when the embossed summons arrived for a Vance family evening, I knew it was a trap. Yet, that stubborn, starved part of me went, wearing navy silk and a fragile hope. The dinner was a masterpiece of erasure. I was scenery, until my father, after lauding Colin's portfolio and Diana's research, finally landed his blow. "Evelyn, I think it's time for you to go." Now, with Leo's words still vibrating in the air, I found my voice. It didn't shake. "You're right, Dad. It is time." I addressed the table. "Colin, you used my demographic analysis to win the Carrington account. Passed it off as your own. Diana, you told Mother's doctors I was too fragile to handle her final directives. You orchestrated my removal." I saw their flinches, the dawning panic in their eyes. This script was off book. I looked at my father. For 35 years, I thought I carried a defect. But the defect was believing I could ever meet a standard designed to exclude me. You haven't just asked me to leave this house. You've confirmed you've forfeited your place in my life. I picked up my clutch. And since legacy is so important to you, you should know I've been compiling one. A memoir. About the cost of growing up in a gilded cage where affection is conditional and cruelty is polite. My publisher is very excited. The color drained from his face. A cease and desist would come later. It would fail. Consider this my final exit, I said. Leo was already at my side, his hand warm in mine. Don't worry. I'll send you an autographed copy. The door shut on that life with a quiet, final click. The memoir, The Gilded Silence, published 9 months later. It wasn't a vendetta. It was an excavation. Readers wrote in thousands, "This is my story. Thank you for the language to name my pain." My father never reached out. Colin was passed over for a partnership. Diana faced uncomfortable questions at her hospital's ethics board. The truth, once released, has its own currency. Tonight, I'm in the nursery of our home in the mountains. Our son, Gabriel, sleeps in my arms. His middle name is Reed, for the plant that bends but never breaks. Downstairs, our house is full of laughter. Leo's parents, my chosen family of writers and artists, people who show up without scorecards. Earlier, I found a letter on thick, familiar stationery in the mailbox. Arthur's handwriting. I held it, felt its weight, and then placed it unopened, in a box in the attic. His narrative no longer holds power here. I leaned close to Gabriel's ear, breathing in his milky scent, and whispered the vow I now live by. You are loved simply because you exist. You will never have to earn it. You will never have to prove you belong. I was speaking to him, to the little girl I was, and to anyone listening who needs to hear it. Sometimes the most radical act is not winning a seat at their table. It's building your own, and realizing you were the feast all along. The people who matter will find you there.